Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanthi Nilayam. I am sure most of you know that Shirdi Baba had the habit of asking for dakshina, or what might be loosely called payment. I am sure you would have also wondered why on earth an avatar wanted dakshina. In this talk, I wish to discuss that issue to some extent. By way of setting the stage for that, let me begin by quoting the following passages from the work of Hemant Pant. These are very moving and highly philosophical verses, and it's only when one keeps these in mind that one would understand better why Shirdi Baba often asks for dakshina. Over now to Hemant Pant. Quote, "Oh, how great is the significance of human birth! It is only through this that devotion and worship of God and the attainment of mukti is possible. Through it alone would come self-realization. Like a streak of lightning in the clouds is this worldly life, fleeting and transitory. Even a moment of happiness is rare to people here who are devoured by the fear of the serpent of death. Father and mother, brother and sister, wife, son, daughter or uncle, they all come together momentarily as floating logs of wood in the main stream of a river. One moment they seem to come together, but are thrown apart in the next moment by the surging waves. And once the parting comes, never again will the setting be the same as before. He who has not achieved spiritual welfare in this world has made his mother suffer birth pangs in vain, and unless he surrenders himself at the feet of the saints, his life is a total waste. The moment a creature is born, he begins his journey towards death. So, he who believes that death will not come today or wait till tomorrow or the day after is only deluding himself. Let not the thought of death be away from your mind. After all, the physical body is but as fodder for death. Such is the characteristic of worldly life. Hence, be alert. He who enters into worldly transactions with discrimination and wisdom will make spiritual progress effortlessly. Therefore, in worldly matters, there should be no slackness or indolence. Regarding the fourfold objectives of human life, there should be no disinterest or unconcern. Know that he who has surrendered to Brahman will see only oneness in all, and he who believes in duality will be caught in the chains of births and deaths." End of quote. For those of you who are not aware of the fourfold objectives of life that Hemant Pant refers to, let me say that they are what are called the four Purusharthas. Swami sometimes makes a reference to these. The four Purusharthas are Dharma or righteousness, Artha or the quest for wealth, Kama or desires, and Moksha or liberation. What it means is that in life, one must always adhere to Dharma or righteousness. Wealth one can acquire, but it has to be done by dharmic or righteous means. Desires one can have to some extent, but they should not be fulfilled by immoral or adharmic means. If one goes through life in such a disciplined manner, then one can aspire for and indeed achieve moksha or liberation. I have quoted the above stanzas from Hemant Pant's narrative with a purpose. We must not be on the lookout for mere stories. God's story is different from the story of mortals because every one of them teaches some lesson or the other. Learning from these lessons, we must improve ourselves so that we understand who exactly we are instead of being deluded by the mind and the senses. In terms of physical form, we might appear different, but in divine essence, we are all one. As Hemant Pant says, quote, "Logs of wood differ in their shapes, but as fire they are indistinguishable. They lose their separateness and shapes merging into one mass as fire. End of quote. Let us now get down to the Dakshina business. First, some general remarks by Hemat Pant on Baba and Dakshina. I quote, "Whenever anyone came to take darshan and began worshipping his feet, Baba would first ask him for Dakshina, be he a Hindu, Muslim or Parsi. And was it just a modest sum, a rupee or two, or an aggregate of 5? Not at all. He would ask for 100, 1,000, a lakh, and even a crore if it pleased him. Offered Dakshina once, he would say, bring more. If told that money was over, he would say, go and borrow. And when it could not be borrowed from anywhere, only then would he stop asking for Dakshina." End of quote. It all sounds very strange, does it not? But then, does God ever do anything without a purpose? What is that purpose? Why did the Shirdi avatar ask for Dakshina? To find out more, we turn to Hemat Pant again, and I quote, "When the devotee has no money at all, Baba would say to the devotee, do not worry in the least. I will give you pots of money. Sit quietly with me and stop worrying. In this world, everybody has somebody or the other. But we here have nobody. Only Allah is for us here. What I want is one who would love me dearer than his own life. And to such a one, I repay 100-fold of what he gives me." End of quote. That is what Baba would tell his devotees. Hemat Pant adds that hardly anyone was exempt from this Dakshina business. Why? Because a stage would come when even a rich man would have to beg in order to give Dakshina to Baba. And Baba would order this once rich man to beg even from the poor. This was Baba's way of teaching humility. Almost invariably, money tends to make people proud and haughty because in this world, money means power. Obviously, one cannot be proud and egoistic if one wants Baba's grace. So, to scrub devotees clean, Baba adopted this method of demanding Dakshina. Because people loved Baba and wanted his grace, they always agreed to do what otherwise might have been very repugnant to them. This is what Hemat Pant has to say about all this, and I quote, "He may well be a millionaire, but even he was ordered by Sai Maharaj to borrow some Dakshina, and that too from a poor man's house. Whether a rich man or a beggar, poor, weak and penniless, Sai never differentiated between them, considering one to be more important than the other. Thus, whoever he might be, he would obey Baba's command respectfully, and shedding off all his conceit, would go to the houses of poor people to beg for money for Baba's sake. In short, in the pretext of asking for Dakshina, Baba was really teaching his devotees a lesson in humility." End of quote from Hemat Pant. Let us now hear the story of one Ratanji Shapurji Wadia, a Parsi and a resident of Nanded and a prosperous milk contractor there. Ratanji had everything one could want: farms, horses, carriages, forests, and plenty of money too. He enjoyed life, but he was generous, and no one went from his door hungry. Deep inside, he had a great worry. He had 12 daughters, but no son. Hemat Pant describes Ratanji's anguish. Quote, "Will Narayan bless me with at least one son?" Such was his musing every day. His mind would not be rid of the worry. Due to this, Ratanji was sad. He did not relish food or drink. Day and night he felt dejected, his mind being always full of worry. "O God, remove this one blemish on my happiness and make me free of stigma. Give me but one son to continue my family line. Save me, O Prabhuraya, from this disgrace." End of quote. Now, this Ratanji happened to know that great devotee of Baba, Das Ganu. I should perhaps mention that humanity owes a great debt of gratitude to Das Gunu for leaving behind a huge treasure of Baba bhajans. To get back to the story, Das Gunu gave some good advice to Ratanji. Let us find out all about that from Hemant Pant himself. I quote, Das Gunu said, "Go to Shirdi and the ardent wish of your heart would be fulfilled. Take Baba's darshan, make obeisance at his feet, and tell him in detail your secret wish. He will bless you. Go, you will prosper. For Baba's ways are inconceivable. Surrender to him wholeheartedly, and you will be happy." The idea appealed to Ratanji, and he made a firm resolve to go. Accordingly, after a few days passed, Ratanji arrived in Shirdi. He went to the mosque for darshan and prostrated himself at Sai's feet. Love welled up in his heart as he looked at Sai Maharaj, a mine of highest virtue. He opened up the basket of flowers and, taking out a flower garland, put it round Baba's neck very lovingly. Then he offered at his feet a profusion of choice fruit. With great reverence, Ratanji sat down near Baba in all humility and now listened to his prayer to Baba. Ratanji said to Baba, "When people are in great trouble, they come to Baba's feet and he protects them immediately. This is what I have heard. Hence, I have come all the way here to see you with an ardent wish, which I shall respectfully relate at your feet. Please do not turn me away, O Maharaj." End of quote. So what happened next? That is an interesting story. Of course, the first thing that Baba did was to ask for dakshina right away, adding that only on payment would Ratanji get satisfaction. Ratanji, of course, was ready for making the payment, but not ready for what Baba told him next. Baba said, and here we go to Hemant Pant for the narrative, quote, "I know you have already given me 3 rupees and 14 annas. Now give me the remaining money which you have brought with you as dakshina." Since this was the first time Ratanji was having the darshan of Baba, he was quite astonished to hear Baba's words and tried hard to recollect. He thought, "Never have I come to Shirdi before, nor have I sent anything with anyone. Such being the case, what Sai Maharaj is saying to me is really a puzzle." End of quote. Puzzled though he was, Ratanji gave all the money he had. In turn, Baba blessed him, gave Udi Prasad or sacred ash from his perpetual fire, and told Ratanji not to worry. Fully satisfied and with total faith in Baba's word, Ratanji returned to his hometown, Nanded. Naturally, he met Das Ganu and narrated all that happened. Let us hear about that from Hemant Pant. Quote, "I had a proper darshan and was delighted. I also had his assurance along with Prasad and his blessings. Everything took place in a most satisfying manner, but there was only one thing I did not follow. I did not understand even a bit of what Sai Maharaj said. Baba said to me, 3 rupees and 14 annas you have given me. Please explain this to me clearly. What rupees and what annas? How could I have given anything to him before? This was my first visit to Shirdi. Oh, I do not understand the significance of this in the least. At least I am not able to resolve this. To me, it appears as a great mystery, a puzzle that I cannot solve. Can you at least solve it for me?" End of quote. The ball was now in Das Ganu's court, and he too was puzzled. He thought about it for a long time and finally had a flash. He recalled that there was in Nanded a Muslim saint named Mauli Sahib, loved by all. At the time Ratanji had planned on a trip to Shirdi, it so happened that this Mauli Sahib decided to visit Ratanji's place. When he arrived, Ratanji was very pleased and happy and welcomed the saint with flowers, fruits, etc. Ratanji decided that this was not enough and decided to serve a light meal to Mauli Sahib. Das Ganu recalled that event, and the next thing he did was to calculate accurately the expenditure involved. Meticulously, every item of expenditure was recalled and noted down. When the cost was all totaled up, it came to exactly 3 rupees and 14 annas, not a pi more, not a pi less. Both Das Ganu and Ratanji realized that Shirdi Baba was not confined to the mere physical form in which he gave darshan in the mosque. He was, in fact, omnipresent. To complete the story of Ratanji, his prayers were answered and he was duly blessed with a son. Let me now get back to the Dakshina business and wrap it up with a few important remarks, inspired by what Hemat Pant has written. The world is full of people who want to make lots and lots of money, and many of them do in fact make tons of money. Having done that, most of these wealthy people become busy in spending that money on sense gratification. This is not only a total waste of money, but also, in the eyes of God, a crime. The scriptures say that after taking what is needed to meet genuine personal needs, a wealthy person must give away money in charity. As Hemat Pant puts it, quote, wealth facilitates dharma. From dharma comes the knowledge of the Supreme Being. Money thus takes on a spiritual path which brings peace and happiness to the mind. End of quote. What the above implies is that the rich must give money away in charity whenever possible, including to those engaged in sustaining the Vedas. Thus it is that during every ritual, money is offered to the officiating priest. However, it is not given as cash for services rendered as most people imagine. As Hemat Pant reminds us, when Dakshina is given, the chant uttered is Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. The offering is made with the feeling that the priest is God. Hemat Pant also recalls how the Vedas require the giver to give charity with the best of feelings. Let us hear a bit of that chant, which incidentally is often heard here in Prashanti Nilayam, when the boys chant Vedas before Swami.
Shraddhaya deyam, asraddhaya deyam, shriya deyam, hriya deyam, bhiya deyam, samvida deyam.
This means essentially that people must give gladly and willingly and never give something unwillingly or under a feeling of compulsion. The offering must be made with respect, modesty, and humility. I would like to conclude with a reference to the traditional puja rituals which pious people regularly perform. Here, the object of worship is an idol of some form of god. Let's say it's Ganesha. The idol is not treated as an object, but verily Lord Ganesha. He is thus welcomed, ceremonially of course. Then his feet are washed. He is then given a seat, and after that arrangements are made for his bath. After he is given a bath, he is given clothes to wear. Then comes the offering of food, after which God is offered the traditional betel leaves and nut. At the end of it all, Dakshina is offered to God. By the way, in Vedic times, if a guest came to the house, he would be received and honored in precisely the same way. Okay, all the ceremony is fine, but why offer Dakshina to God? It is not offered as cash payment, but it is offered with the feeling, Oh God, everything comes from you in some form or the other, and everything must also go back to you. In that spirit, I make a symbolic offering of this coin with the feeling that it would help me to spend whatever wealth you have granted to me for the welfare of humanity. In short, Dakshina has a long and interesting meaning, one aspect of which was highlighted by the Lord in his earlier avatar in Shirdi. The bottom line for Shirdi avatar was, give all your excess money for good causes in society so that you can become humble and dear to me. Once you become dear to me, I will take full care of you, and thereafter you have nothing to worry about. That also is what the Lord said as Krishna And that is what the Lord said as Shirdi Baba. And that also is what the Lord is saying now as our beloved Swami. As Hemat Pant beautifully puts it, quote, most merciful Sai Samarth asked for Dakshina only for the good of his devotees. He was educating them in renunciation. Indeed, of what use was Dakshina to Baba but for the spiritual welfare of his devotees? For his subsistence, for his life, he did not depend on their Dakshina. End of quote. That's all I have for you for this week, and thank you for listening. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Baba आणि सद्गुरु वामन, सद्गुरु वामन, हे न दोघे भिन्न, हे न दोघे भिन्न, एक रूप.
साई बाबा आणि सद्गुरु वामन, सद्गुरु वामन, हे न दोघे भिन्न, हे न दोघे भिन्न, एक
भाव साधकांनो ठेवा दोघां पायी, ठेवा दोघां पायी, परी विठाबाई, परी विठाबाई, गावी वाचे.
भाव साधकांनो ठेवा दोघां पायी, ठेवा दोघां पायी, परी विठाबाई, परी विठाबाई, गावी वाचे.
साई वामनाचे करावे पूजन, करावे पूजन, राखावा सन्मान, राखावा सन्मान भूपतीचा.
साई वामनाचे करावे पूजन, करावे पूजन, राखावा सन्मान, राखावा सन्मान भूपतीचा.
परमार्थात भक्ती व्यवहारी नीती, व्यवहारी नीती, संसारी विरक्ती, संसारी विरक्ती गणू म्हणे.
परमार्थात भक्ती व्यवहारी नीती, व्यवहारी नीती, संसारी विरक्ती, संसारी विरक्ती गणू म्हणे.
गुरुपाठाचे हे अभंग 25, हे अभंग 25, जपता होय नाश, जपता होय नाश पातकांचा.
गुरुपाठाचे हे अभंग 25, हे अभंग 25, जपता होय नाश, जपता होय नाश पातकांचा.
गुरुचे पवाडे गाता मोक्ष लाभे, गाता मोक्ष लाभे, नका मरू दंभे, नका मरू दंभे निरर्थक.
गुरुचे पवाडे गाता मोक्ष लाभे, गाता मोक्ष लाभे, नका मरू दंभे, नका मरू दंभे निरर्थक.
साई महाराजांचा धरुनिया हात, धरुनिया हात, तरा भवाब्दीत, तरा भवाब्दीत बुडू नका.
साई महाराजांचा धरुनिया हात, धरुनिया हात, तरा भवाब्दीत, तरा भवाब्दीत बुडू नका.
साईंच्या इच्छेने होते अवघे काही, अवघे काही, गणूकडे नाही, गणूकडे नाही बोल त्याचा.
साईंच्या इच्छेने होते अवघे काही, होते अवघे काही, गणूकडे नाही, गणूकडे नाही बोल त्याचा.
साईंच्या इच्छेने होते अवघे काही, होते अवघे काही, पडे ना